Long ago, there existed a Minecraft story, one with humble beginnings and exciting journeys, one with losses and hardship, one that encapsulates and follows its roots, and still exists the existence of a chicken jockey. This was Minecraft Story Mode, the original Minecraft movie. In case you didn't know, Minecraft Story Mode was developed by Telltale Games, a game company known for making decision-based games where your choices can have varying impact to the story. The game's first episode released in October 2015, with new episodes releasing as the months go by, with reception towards the game most likely being positive, as if it wasn't, there wouldn't be a reason for it to have a second season, and even have the game be on Netflix somehow. All this came to an unfortunate end as Telltale Games went bankrupt around 2018, which eventually led to this game being removed from stores a year after. Being a big fan of Telltale Games and one of Minecraft as well, this game really meant a lot to me, and with the Minecraft movie coming out, I'd like to look into one of the only other official sources of a Minecraft story to exist. Not only will each episode analysis understand the meaning behind most scenes, but there'll also be comparisons to different Telltale games, Minecraft itself, and what the Minecraft movie could be. So let's start off from the beginning with episode 1, Order of the Stone. The game starts off with a tale about the Order of the Stone, 4 heroes who bravely defeated the Ender Dragon, as a poster of one of the members transitions over to show off the main cast of this game, starting off with Jesse and Olivia. Jesse is the one who we'll be playing as, and you actually had the option to choose what Jesse you wanted to be before you even started the game, having the ability to choose between 3 skin colors and 2 sexes. I went with this Jesse for my playthrough, mainly because I went with the poster boy Jesse as a child, and I personally feel like this version hasn't been seen that much. Olivia asks you if you would rather fight 100 chicken-sized zombies or 10 zombie-sized chickens. I chose 10 zombie-sized chickens because chickens can't kill you normally, and just imagine a giant-sized bucket of chicken. Now, one thing that I really appreciate is how this game handles Minecraft terms, as every character speaks and mentions Minecraft stuff like it's part of their normal dictionary, which it technically is in comparison to Jack Black saying every single Minecraft item. Don't get me wrong, that's funny as hell, and it makes sense since it's about real people going to the world of Minecraft, so they'll need to know how everything works, but it just feels like the movie is underestimating everyone's knowledge about the game, as if nobody has ever played it before. The way Minecraft Story Mode does it works really well, as if you know what things are, you feel incredibly immersed, and if you don't know something or they introduce a new concept or item, most of the times it would bring curiosity to a person and makes them wonder if such a thing would be possible, most likely leading them to playing the original Minecraft. Speaking of which, Jesse has a pet pig named Ruben. And while Jesse and Olivia talks about bringing him along to a building competition, you also meet another one of your friends, Axel. He brings along a costume for Ruben to wear during EnderCon, which is a convention celebrating the defeat of the Ender Dragon from the Order of the Stone. This year's EnderCon is very special, however, as the winner of the building competition will get to meet one of the heroes from the Order, being Gabriel the Warrior. Jesse and the gang are big fans, so of course they want to win the competition. Yet they've lost so many times before, so in order to truly win this time, they needed to build something impressive that would get the judges' attention. After a quick training montage, everybody gathers the materials they needed and they head over to the venue of the building competition where they meet the Ocelots, a rival gang that has constant beef with Jesse and the rest, and most of them are essentially dickheads. Except for Lucas, he's cool. You'll see why. The only criticism that I have right now is the lack of world building. That could be a hot take for some people, as depending on a story, it could be important to showcase the world around it, and while I do believe Minecraft Story Mode does pretty well without the need for world building, I still wish it had one, as the original game felt like world exploration was one of its main focus. It's also really confusing at times, like with what's happening right now when Jesse notices that the Ocelots obtained a beacon, and that was with the help of Petra, an old friend of both Lucas and Jesse's group. So this game is telling me 2 things. Either 1, Petra gathered a ton of materials to trade for a nether star somewhere in the world, or 2, she is somehow an epic gamer who can just take down a whole ass wither with just a stone pickaxe. To be honest, I don't really like Petra. At first, she seems interesting and cool where you can relate her to other characters like Wildstyle or that one emoji from the Emoji Movie. But while she seems able to handle herself in situations, a lot of times those situations end up with you trying to save her or her generally ending up in trouble. Now, I will say that half of the time when there is an option to help or go with her appears, I did go with the other party, so that might be my fault as to why I don't like her. But the fact that you have the option to help her so many times does get annoying because it doesn't really give you that feeling that she's able to handle the situations by herself. Back to the main story, with enough motivation, Jesse and the gang were able to build a structure to impress the judges, and in my game, I chose to build a creeper which had fireworks to shoot out. Unfortunately, one of the ocelots, Aiden, didn't really like it, so in anger he broke a block of stone that was covering some lava for some reason, which set Ruben's costume on fire, causing him to run away. With Ruben running away and the lava getting close to the build, you have an option to either bring Olivia and Axel along with you to chase after Ruben, or simply go by yourself to save Ruben and have Olivia and Axel stay and protect the build. I chose to go alone while Olivia and Axel stayed behind to take care of the lava. The sun starts to set as Jesse goes to the forest to find Ruben, and after investigating the area, they do find him, but not fast enough before mobs start appearing. During this sequence, you're introduced to both QuickTime events and a combat system, albeit very simple, but it's still there. And after struggling to fight some mobs, Petra comes in to help you out and get you to safety. As Jesse and Ruben are traveling along with Petra, she shows off a withered skeleton skull and explains that she's trading with somebody in exchange for a diamond, and she asks Jesse to come along as well. Petra takes Jesse to a crafting table at the mines, and we're given 2 stones and a stick. So with those items, we create a lever and then a sword. Trust me, this lever is very important. As they get out of the mines, they are trapped by mobs on both ends of a bridge, leaving no option but to jump off of said bridge, leading to some credits for the game as well as a really cool title card. After Jesse, Ruben, and Petra land in some water, they swim over to Endercon, where they meet up with Olivia and Axel again, and it turns out that the build they made actually won. After some discussion, the gang splits up with Jesse and Petra going to a very suspicious dark alley in order to meet up with Petra's dealer. However, they're not there, and Petra decides to look somewhere else while Jesse keeps watch at the entrance. While keeping watch, this creepy ass person shows up and gets very mad that we're here and is about to leave before Petra shows up back in time. This creepy ass person is Ivor, and I won't say anything right now, but please note that he is a very important character to keep an eye on. Petra gives the wither skull to Ivor, and he says that the diamond is in the chest that's behind them, and surprise surprise, it wasn't a diamond and they got duped. Jesse and Petra go out to pursue Ivor, and during this chase a lot of things happen. Starting off with meeting Lucas and talking things out, Axel just being Axel, and you see Ivor for 1 second when that bitch Aiden comes in and blocks your way. However, you are able to catch up with Ivor when it turns out it was just someone else who looks a lot like him for some reason. Just as that happens, a butcher somehow kidnapped Ruben, and you don't take my pig away from me, only I get to eat him. We see Olivia and explain the situation, and Petra and Axel show up right as we see Ivor, the real one, walk away to the main venue that's being blocked by a security guard. As they talk to the security guard, they notice that he is scared of chickens, and because of that, Jesse and the gang comes up with a great idea to get in. Break a bunch of chickens free using a slime block, and they do just that. During this time, they gathered almost enough slime balls to make a slime block, as they notice Lucas has just one more that they need. So they go talk to him, and he gives his slime ball and joins the group to help out. With a bunch of chicken running around, the gang gets inside the venue in search for Ivor, and they come across a creepy ass basement. And what do you do when you come across a creepy ass basement? Steal! Petra takes a gold sword, and Axel takes a very suspicious potion. As everyone's investigating, Jesse comes across a lever, and once activated, it pulls down a wall to reveal the method to summon a wither. However, instead of a soul sand block in the middle, there is a command block. The command block is a very interesting item, as you can't obtain it at all in survival mode of Minecraft, and the fact that this appears in this game is a very interesting idea that I really like. But it still gives me that lingering question, how did they get it? And unfortunately, I'm almost certain that they don't answer it, but with season 2, there's some easy implications that can be made, and you'll see why in the near future. As they're looking at the wither structure, Ivor comes back and everyone hides throughout the basement, but after a moment, they decide to say F it and confront him outright. Bad idea though, because moments later, Ivor was able to summon an iron golem to attack the gang. They were able to get out in time for Gabriel to appear on stage, but as they did, they noticed that Lucas was gone and is most likely still trapped inside with the iron golem, and you're given a choice to either go and help Lucas yourself or go with everyone else to get Gabriel's help. I chose to go get Gabriel's help mainly because I felt like I did the other choice back then as a kid, so I wanted to see how different it was now, and I'm glad I did because...
Please. Thank you.
Is he voiced by Lee?
Are you with me?
Oh my god, there's no fucking way, dude. Yeah, and besides Gabriel's voice actor being the same as Lee from The Walking Dead, a lot of voice actors in this game have very notable roles, like how Petra has the same VA as Ellie from The Last of Us, and how Lucas has the same VA as Star-Lord. Even a lot of other characters in this game have a really good voice where I literally question if I know their voice from somewhere, so I gotta give props to the voice team on this here because that's really impressive. But an epic voice isn't going to be good enough to convince Gabriel to help us out, and before we're able to truly convince him, Ivor appears from the back of the crowd and slowly moves upwards to show himself in front of Gabriel, who apparently recognizes him? Huh. Ivor flips a lever to bring the wither structure up to the main stage and uses the last wither skeleton that Petra gave him to summon a wither. However, this wither is very interesting as it has the command block wrapped around his spine and is able to listen to Ivor's command. You get it? Because like it has a command block around it. Okay. However, that command function immediately stops working as Ivor reveals that he has a backup plan in case that happens with a potion to stop the wither. Yeah, the one that we stole? Oh, okay. Of course, the fake potion doesn't work, and by the time the gang realizes the mistake and tries to throw the real one at the wither, it was able to block the attack, as while it was summoned, it also started to consume every block and person it could find, making it bigger by the second. With how dire the situation is, the only option now is to run away, and Gabriel says that they must run to a temple in order to find a way to beat this. As we are running away, we see Lucas again, with him getting a little bit angry that we left him behind. But that's not really important right now, as the wither is sucking everything up, becoming this big wither storm. Get it? Because, like, you know, they call it, that's what they call it in the game, because, like, you know, the wither and it's causing up a storm. Anyways, having the wither be the antagonist of this game is actually a really cool idea, in my opinion. As absurd as it is to say, I feel like this is how some people felt when they personally fought the wither back then when playing Minecraft themselves. You summon it for the first time thinking it'll be simple or at least something that you can handle, but it suddenly goes crazy with the way it fights and the explosions, and maybe you summon it near your house during the fight, so it leads to mass destruction around the whole land. Might just be me, but I think the wither is personally much more intimidating than what it looks like the piglins might be for the Minecraft movie. Because even if the main antagonist is scary or villainous enough, I feel like an army is not as intimidating as an unstoppable force which can't be controlled. After an intense chase, we finally arrive at the temple where Gabriel says it's untouchable due to the blocks being obsidian, and moments later, said temple becomes touchable by the wither storm, causing more havoc and attacking more people. In the temple though, there is a portal that leads to the nether, but as everyone is heading inside, the wither storm attacks Gabriel near the portal and Jesse saves him. With how impossible the situation seems, Gabriel asks Jesse to go and recruit the other members of the Order of the Stone, with Eligard, a redstone master, and Magnus, a TNT expert, being somewhere in the world. But Soren, the leader of the Order, has been missing for a while. Gabriel gives Jesse an amulet that can help track the other members down, but before any more info can be given, Gabriel gets attacked again, and Petra helps out, only for both of them to get sucked by the wither storm, which leaves you the big choice of the episode. Do you save Gabriel or do you save Petra? The classic Telltale choice, saving one person or another. In this case, however, the choice here you make will decide which character will go into plot point A and plot point B. Plot point A will be the person you save, reappearing shortly after saving them and will be with you for the majority of the story, while plot point B won't appear for a while until near the end of an episode or the entire story. Not only does this game have it, and it has it a couple times later on, but there are also some other Telltale games that have it too, mainly The Walking Dead the final season, where you have a similar situation like with what we have now. Unfortunately, due to the caveat of time and budgeting reasons, most of the time plot points A and B will still have the same story points no matter who you save, with the difference only being the personality of the characters and small changes overall. So with that all in mind, I chose to save Gabriel because not only am I certain that I saved Petra as a kid, but I also feel like that the events that happen throughout this arc works well if Gabriel is with you rather than Petra. Plus, she literally appears way more than Gabriel, so I want to give him that time to shine while he still can. Although it looks like we could save Petra for a bit and never mind. Jesse and Lucas get launched into the nether portal and Axel is considering going back to save Petra when all of a sudden...
Come on! Come on!
Pee-wee Herman? I mean, technically, because Ivor is voiced by him, rest in peace. But yeah, Ivor appears and so does a tentacle of the Wither Storm, which breaks the nether portal and somehow its arm doesn't break. The gang confronts Ivor about the Wither Storm, and while doing so, he mentions that he saw Petra running away for some reason. I don't get it because I'm pretty certain he says that no matter who you save. But he does mention that there is a minecart tunnel that leads to a building from the Order of the Stone and that the gang should go there for safety. But before we can get more info on him, he disappears with a potion of invisibility, and that was probably a good thing to do as a gas appears behind everybody and starts chasing them down. Everyone is able to get on a minecart, and I gotta say for a minecart track, I don't think there needs to be a big drop, cobble walls, lava barrier, track splitting, and more just to head somewhere. Okay, well it is the Order of the Stone, so I guess you do need precautions, but not that much. After an intense minecart ride, they finally arrived at the nether portal that most likely Ivor was talking about, and Jesse heads there at first after Axel said he wants to go, but stalled like a lot. Heading out of the nether portal leads to a little cave that some mobs are in due to it being nighttime, and because of the fact that it's night, it's probably best to build a structure to keep them away from harm, and you get the option to choose between a dirt house or a tree house. Obviously I chose the tree house because it's a freaking tree house, and you never know when those tree houses get magical. Please tell me someone gets that, please, man. While chilling in the treehouse, Axel just remembers that he has cookies and he gives it to everybody except Lucas because he just hates him. Lucas notices that and soon he starts confronting Axel about why, and I try to defend Lucas, but eventually he just gives the idea of him just leaving for the night. But I chose to stop him because that's just mean to do. Plus, if the Minecraft world was real, I don't think anyone would survive a night outside. Once day hits, everyone leaves the treehouse, and soon after, Lucas notices a big structure which turns out to be the temple of the Order of the Stone. The gang walks inside, but not so far before a trap is activated, causing the entrance behind them to be shut and a lot of arrows to shoot out of many dispensers. They're able to get past the set of arrows, but it turns out that's only half of it, and the other half of the arrows is shooting out way too fast for anybody to walk past it. But there is a pressure plate at the end that could possibly deactivate it, so everyone brings out what they have that could be made useful, and with the materials given, you can either make a bow and arrow or a fishing rod. I chose to go with a bow and arrow because it's just cooler. Hashtag fishing rod stinks. I hate myself sometimes. After the pressure plate was activated and it turned off the arrows from shooting, it turns out the room that leads beyond the traps looks a lot like Ivor's room from the Endercon basement. While looking around, Jesse comes across a book that retells the story of the Order of the Stone, but it turns out instead of 4 members, it was actually 5, with the 5th member being Ivor. Now it makes sense as to why Ivor is very angry towards the Order and how Gabriel knew him. However, no offense by the way, having a secret member of the Order is not as important right now as a goddamn wither storm is terrorizing the whole world. So the gang locks in and go upstairs to find the top floor of the building with a map and a bunch of levers. Jesse tries pulling the amulet to see if it can track down the members of the Order, but it doesn't work. So we look around and realize that the map and the lever contraption all link up, and if you put the amulet between them and activate the levers in a specific way, a light pops out and it reflects off the amulet to show the locations of both Eligard and Magnus. However, both of their lights are very far apart, and with the Witherstorm coming real soon, along with the potential that Petra might come back, Lucas decides to stay behind and fortify the place and asks someone to stay behind while Jesse and someone else goes and gets one of the two. Axel immediately assumes that Jesse will be going with him to get Magnus, but Olivia thinks that it would be the other way around and asks Jesse what to do. This leaves you with the choice to end off the episode. Do you go with Olivia to get Ellegaard, or do you go with Axel to get Magnus? Now this may seem like a very important decision, and it really is, but the reason why I said before that saving Gabriel or Petra was more important will be explained later on in episode 2, but for this case, I chose to go with Olivia to meet Ellegaard. I only did it because I freaking hate Magnus. I don't know why, but just looking at him gives me this like sense of anger. So with choosing to meet Ellegaard, Jesse and Olivia prepare to leave, but not before looking outside and seeing how much havoc the Wizard Storm is causing, and just how close it is to them.
Please hurry.
At the start of the game, this episode
is nice, bruh! Like a solid 1 out of 10!
No, in actuality, it's more like a 7 out of 10, because story-wise, it's a good start for what they could work with. You have lore about the old heroes, you meet the characters that you need to meet, and you get a good progression of the story overall, but everything outside of it is either bad in my eyes or just feels forgotten. Like I've said before, they don't really talk about the world that much, and while they do show off a lot of locations, there's never really any time to fully understand it, and the same thing applies with Petra, because for right now, all that we know is that she's friends with Jesse and the gang, and Lucas and his gang, and that's about it. I'll be honest, I probably would have learned more if I did save her, and you do know a lot more in season 2, but the fact that it's gonna take that long to understand her more feels like a kind of sour taste. But maybe things can get better, maybe more development can be given to everyone. In episode 2, assembly required. This episode has one of the most unique starts to a Telltale game because depending on who you went with, you essentially get a whole different chapter to work with. If you went with Axel, you'll go to Boomtown to try to recruit Magnus, and if you went with Olivia, you'll go to Redstonia to recruit Ellegaard, and while the main plot points and core actions are the same, it's the fact that the location, NPC, and other aspects around the chapter is what makes it really unique in my opinion. For this video, I will be focusing solely on the Redstonia chapter, as that's what I did when I played the game on Twitch. You should go follow me there, by the way, that would be pretty epic. But the episode will still start the same with Jesse and Olivia or Axel riding a minecart with you to your designated location until you two get attacked by a ghast, and once you defeat them, you two arrive at a portal that leads to the town you're heading to, and in this case, it's Redstonia, a city filled with the smartest engineers and redstoners. Okay, that sounds wrong, but you get my point. Just as Jesse and Olivia were heading to Redstonia, an announcement from Ellegaard was made saying that she would lock herself in her room to create her next big project, the command block. Interesting. And so the only way to get to her gets barred by many, many iron blocks. Now Jesse and Olivia need to find a way to get inside. They try asking Ellegaard's assistant to get inside, but he says no, obviously. But when we show him the amulet, you do have the option to give it to him in hopes that he would show it to Ellegaard. But I didn't want to risk anything happening to it, so I chose not to and kept it. The assistant gets mad and takes a redstone repeater and walks away, but realizing that he took it away, it looks like we simply just need to make another one in order for the door to open again. Heads up, I am going to skip over some stuff because it turned out that there are actually multiple ways of opening the door to get to Ellegaard, and if I were to mention all of them, it would take ages. So for decisions like this and multiple ones in the future, I'll leave a link to a playlist from a YouTuber who's made all the choices for each episode so you guys can enjoy it at your own time. But even without the additional lore, and despite me criticizing the world building, I will give praise to this part of the episode, which does, by definition, give lore to the world, specifically the ones where a member of the Order of the Stone resides. Each location does what it needs to do, with showing how the people live and act, as well as how difficult it could be to meet a member of the Order. So at the very least, I got to give it one thumbs up. But with my playthrough, I talked to this groovy guy who made fun of the schoolboy, yes, those were the actual names, and told said schoolboy that the groovy guy was talking smack, which gave enough time to grab a repeater, but unfortunately, that killed a lot of cows, but hey, it's for the greater good. With Jesse and Olivia finally getting inside, they encounter various traps, and after solving them, the two finally get to meet Ellegaard as she is trying to create a command block. Since there is no way to make a command block in normal survival Minecraft, Ellegaard gathers a bunch of various materials and shoves them into 4 crafting tables to push them together in hopes of creating one, but failing most of the time. Once she finally notices us, she assumes that the 2 were new assistances, and Olivia takes it pretty well.
For her. What if I screw it up? What if I... Oh, I feel lightheaded.
Wow, now I need an assistant to help with my assistant.
After another failed attempt to create a command block, we're finally able to tell her about the Wither Storm, which gives her more motivation to create one, and you're given the option to either continue to try and craft one or just leave right away. I decided to be nice and did what I could to help her out, and with multiple attempts and failures, it almost looked like it's going to work until... Yeah, but at least the 3 were able to get out safe and sound. The 3 go back to the temple, and it looks like it's been fortified, and that's because it was with the help of Lucas. Everyone say thank you, Lucas, in the comments. As it turns out, while we were gone getting Ellegaard, somebody showed up, and it's Gabriel. Just in case if you couldn't tell, Gabriel only showed up here because I saved him in the last episode, and if I chose to say Petra, she would have showed up instead. So from here on out, I'm mainly going to be talking about Gabriel whenever he pops up, but you can replace Gabriel with Petra, and the story would still be the same, only with a potentially different voice line. And you can also apply this to what's about to happen when we go back upstairs, only to see Axel with Magnus, because Axel decided to get Magnus himself while we were gone. The same thing would have happened with Olivia if you went to go to Boomtown, by the way. Turns out Ellegaard and Magnus do not get along at all, so they start to argue, and while doing that, Ellegaard mentions how Soren could potentially have an item that could help defeat the Wither Storm, a super TNT which Gabriel calls the Formidabomb, and Magnus calls it the F-Bomb. Everybody say boo Magnus in the comments right fucking now. Despite not appearing on the map before, Ellegaard says to try again, and we do that only to see that the light belongs to Soren starts to light up, along with a dark blue light appearing as well, most likely being Ivor. So with 2 dangers being Ivor heading to Soren and the Wither Storm most likely coming towards us, Ellegaard says that we should leave now, while Magnus thinks that we should wait a while, as it's about to be nighttime and he doesn't really believe in the magnitude of damage that the Wither Storm can cause. I said F you Magnus and chose to head out right away because I would rather fight mobs than not sing. So the gang goes out at night, and while Magnus is trying to talk to Jesse, of course mobs attack in the middle of the night, and after fighting some off, they all run towards Soren's location and arrive there soon after. By the way, Soren was not only the leader of the Order of the Stone, but he was also a great architect, and that's shown with how weird his temple is, having platforms to jump over, with a bunch of endermen on the bottom, a lake that leads to a weird maze, and so much more. During the entrance to the maze, Ellegaard and Magnus have an argument again that causes them to split off into 2 separate parts of the temple. While Jesse and the gang decide how to work this out, it can be seen that Gabriel looks kind of weird, and after a moment, Gabriel asks Jesse to go with him by themselves to one route while the rest go to another route. I don't know how important this is, but I chose to try to follow Magnus just in case. While trying to find Magnus, Gabriel reveals to Jesse that his arm is corroding as he has Wither, which is a real effect in Minecraft that essentially works like a slow poison, but usually wears off eventually. However, it looks like this time that the Wither effect is lasting much longer than it should be, possibly due to the Wither Storm's existence being abnormal. Out of nowhere, a creeper shows up, setting Jesse underground and causing them to split up. Using the amulet to guide them, Jesse uncovers a huge library with one room open and someone inside, being Ivor. The 2 confront each other, but before Ivor can leave, Gabriel appears to help us, and a battle ensues, with Ivor using a mixture of sword fighting and potion usage, varying from swiftness, damage, and invincibility. However, he forgot he wasn't the protagonist and loses very easily before the rest of the gang shows up, excluding Ellegaard and Magnus, of course. Before anything important can happen, Ivor throws a splash potion of slowness towards everyone, and he makes his dramatic exit.
Magnus and Ellegaard may think they can stop me, that they can destroy the Wither Storm, but they are mistaken, and it will cost them their lives.
I was really surprised at how short this episode was, but it makes sense because the fact that the first chapter of this episode can completely change depending on who you went with, and I think that makes it worth it just by a bit. With a short episode, let me make this transition short and immediately head on to episode 3, The Last Place You Look. The episode immediately starts off with what happened last time with Ivor walking away and closing the door just as the potion of slowness wears off. Everyone is confused and tries to figure out what to do next, and as Jesse remembers the amulet, Lucas starts to get desperate and asks Jesse to borrow it, but as they struggle, Soren's light starts to glow again, which leads to an underground location. The gang digs down and it seems safe to traverse besides some bats. However, walking through the tunnel leads to a bunch of more tunnels, and it may seem confusing at first until Olivia realizes that it's a grinder that is used to push mobs into a bunch of crushing pistons. Water suddenly flows into the tunnel, causing Jesse to lose the amulet, dropping it into a lower part of the grinder. Everyone works together to both get out and get the amulet at the same time, fighting mobs, moving around various tunnels, avoiding water, and what is in my opinion, my favorite title card showcase, as they've done it with all the other episodes of the game, but this one is one of my most personal favorites. During the sequence, the amulet gets sent onto a corner, along with Axel and Ruben getting sent onto another, leaving you with a choice to either save Axel and Ruben or go after the amulet. I chose to save Axel and Ruben because not only is it morally better to save your friend and your pet, but Lucas was also going to go for the other choice no matter what, so I trusted him and I felt a bit bad earlier for not letting him seize the amulet. No matter what happens though, you're launched into the middle of the crusher, and as you're falling, a creeper shows up and Jesse's able to grab it and shove it onto all the pistons, blowing it up and making an entrance for everyone. They all land in the water, but moments later, each of them gets sucked into different tubes, sending them all down. Luckily, the tubes lead to the same location, which is an underground area where all the items that the mobs drop are filled with chests and minecarts. After the rest fall down, Axel and Ruben were grateful that we saved them, but Gabriel gets pretty mad that we chose to save them over the amulet. But as much as he'd like to complain, it's not before a sudden noise is made, which turned out to be the grinder malfunctioning, causing mobs to not die and fall towards Jesse and the gang. While trying to escape the mobs, it turns out that this location is actually the same place where the end portal is. But before getting in, it's shown that Gabriel seems to be struggling a bit, and to be fair, he does look a little exhausted. After saving Gabriel and jumping into the end, Lucas immediately covers his eyes due to the fact that there are multiple Endermen in the end. Get it? You know, it's like, Endermen in the end. Okay, I'll shut up. With how dire the situation is, it all seems like trouble until Axel just notices Soren walking along a flight of stairs, most likely leading to wherever he's hiding. Gabriel tries to take the lead, but with how sick he looks, Lucas offers to take the lead instead, giving you the option to either let him do it or lead everyone yourself. Obviously, I chose to let Lucas lead everyone because everyone deserves a chance to be a leader, especially if they want to try to do it themselves. Plus, he did save the amulet when I went after Axel and Ruben, so I will give him props for that. With Lucas leading the way, everyone was able to get to the flight of stairs safely, and they all start to head up when Gabriel asks to slow down for a moment, giving Lucas a moment of suspicion. After reaching the top of the stair comes a ladder, and climbing said ladder leads into a Truman-esque-like place with trees, mountains, and the sky all being made out of wool. This sends Lucas into a fit of anger, and hey, I can't blame the guy, he's been through a lot, but he walks away as everyone else does as well to look around and figure out what to do next. Talking to Lucas, it turns out that the reason he's starting to lose it is that he realizes that Gabriel is sick, and you have the option whether or not to tell Lucas about the wither sickness. I chose to do it as Lucas is a good friend, and I trust him to keep it a secret from the rest if need be. There's a lot more stuff you can do around this location, but the main puzzle in this room is that you have to activate 3 levers in order to open a secret door, including one that Lucas is just blocking for some reason. Inside the secret entrance, it seemed to be a location fit for many people to enjoy their time, which is weird as it's set in the end and most likely no one would be there, but in one of the doors that Olivia is near, you can hear some noise, and after going inside, it turns out just to be an audio recording of Soren and what is most likely a diary entry. Listening to the diary entry, it seems like Soren is not only trying to understand the Endermen, but also use them to do some tasks like placing some blocks. In one of the entries, he mentions that he made a suit to help himself blend in, and looking further, there seems to be 2 suits, with a taller one missing. Jesse puts on the available Enderman suit to be in disguise, and goes outside to the Endermen to try and find Soren. The disguise seemed to work somehow, and exploring the area reveals a big grid that doesn't really make any sense, so going back inside and looking around more, Jesse discovers a chest with a blueprint involving 6 blocks. It turns out that this is his current plan to use the Endermen to help build structures, and he wants to test it by having the Endermen grab some blocks and put them in a specific order. Olivia infers that Soren is most likely outside right now due to the armor stand being missing, so in order to grab his attention, we'll need to find 6 clay blocks and put them in that specific structure. Now, I have no clue why, but I struggled with this for a while to a point where I literally had to look up a guide and I was still confused because it turns out there was one clay block near the entrance and I just did not notice that for a long time, so that was really painful. What is more painful though is that one of the clay blocks you'll need to get comes from an Enderman already having the block, so you'll have to take it from them, causing them to get a bit agitated. After placing all the blocks on the grid, the Endermen get even more mad and are about to gang up on Jesse when Soren appears to knock him out in order to appear real. Waking up, Jesse finally meets Soren and he's a bit rough to work with. I mean, being alone in the end is probably tough as hell, because imagine trying to build a house in the same place you killed the Ender Dragon. Jesse tries to convince Soren to join them, but says he doesn't want to in fear of being betrayed, and that being the reason he's in the end training Endermen. But after mentioning the order and whether or not they're Soren's friend, he asks Jesse if they are friends. I chose to say yes just to appease Soren in case something bad happened if I were to say no. Soren finally agrees to help and starts to sing a song as a final goodbye, but Lucas and the rest interrupt along with another special guest, as angering the Endermen cause most of them to go inside. The gang tries to leave, but it turns out that the Endermen teleported everywhere, including the inside of Soren's place. He mentions how Endermen hate water, so Jesse needs to break the water fountains in order to make the Endermen teleport away. After breaking some water fountains and heading to the fake outside, it isn't long before the Enderman finally realizes that the costume was a fake and all the Endermen get angry. Their only form of safety now is to get into whatever water is available, and Soren reveals that there is a hidden switch that can flood the entire place with water on top of the fake fountain, and once Jesse climbs it and activates the lever, the whole place gets flooded from the bottom up. As the water fills up, everyone needs to swim to the trapdoor that they entered with, and as they do so, Jesse notices that Gabriel is lagging behind, so Jesse goes to help him and gets to the trapdoor in time. The game then skips to everyone going through the portal, but they get no time to rest as there are many mobs that appear due to the issue that happened with the grinder earlier. While trying to fight the mobs, Soren reveals that in actuality, he hasn't built the Formidabomb yet. But on the bright side, he does have defenses for this place with a lever near Jesse that creates some iron golems to defend him. That gives everyone enough time to gather materials that they need to build the Formidabomb, which are gunpowder and a super TNT. However, combining the Formidabomb right away could cause some issues, so Soren says to wait until the right time to craft it, which is right near the Witherstorm. So the gang gets on a minecart and dips. Just as they head outside, the gang sees Eligard and Magnus fighting up some mobs, while said mobs run away due to the Witherstorm fastly approaching. Soren gives the plan to everyone, but since it's very dangerous and no one wants to do it, Jesse steps up to volunteer, which Gabriel criticizes Magnus and Eligard, giving them both the idea to give Jesse one of their armor so they can protect themselves during the battle. This is another big choice that you have to make, kind of like what happened in episode 1, and whose armor you choose here will make a small but significant impact to the story. As you remember, I hate Magnus, so I took his armor. The plan initiates. Everyone builds distractions and tries to get the Witherstorm's attention while Jesse gets very close to it and places a crafting table to build the Formidabomb. Just as each item was placed on the crafting table, the Witherstorm grabs Jesse, and at the same time it throws a tentacle at the building that Eligard and Magnus were making, and it smacks both of them really hard. With how dire the situation is, Jesse gets to the crafting table once more and is finally able to craft the Formidabomb, which I'll call the F-bomb just this once, and throws it at the Witherstorm, with everyone else grabbing Jesse for safety. The Witherstorm is finally defeated, blown into 3 separate bits. However, there is no time to celebrate as it turns out that the hit that Magnus took was somehow just hard enough to fatally wound him. With his final breath, he asks Jesse to keep the armor and to save everyone that has been affected by the Witherstorm. Now, I don't mean to sour the mood, but I am very mixed on his death. It makes sense, I can see it. It is a little sad, I'll be real. But why? I know it's weird to say because I hate his ass, but for someone who can withstand TNT for ages, you would think a smack by a tentacle wouldn't kill them, but apparently it does. What's worse is that I'm pretty sure some characters go through rougher stuff and survive, so I just don't get it. Maybe Eligard and Magnus were extremely worn out during the fight outside and they had like 1 HP left, I don't know. Anyways, rest in peace, you'll somewhat be missed, as Jesse goes inside the Witherstorm's remains to see if there's anyone that still needs help. As they go deeper to the core of the Witherstorm, there's a shocking realization.
No! The command block! That's impossible! I don't understand. Soren said the Formidabomb would destroy it, but it looks fine. What the? Guys! Over here! No! No! Somebody help! Kid! Hold on! But I thought you were dead! I saw you!
What happened here?
I'll explain everything! Just not right now! Come on! We've got to get out of here! Petra! Let's go! Who's Petra?
Man, what an episode. In my humble opinion, it's my third favorite episode for this arc, as the beginning and end parts were really great, but I was really not a fan of most parts in the end. Like as in the middle part where they go to the end, not the end of the episode, you know? I don't know, maybe because I struggled for like 13 minutes looking for one clay block, I don't know, but it could just be me. Now before we get onto the finale of the Witherstorm arc, I would like to say that if you're watching up to this point, thank you. Thank you so much for taking your time to watch up to this point, and if you can, I'd like to ask you if you can either leave a like on this video or comment something about Freaky Bob. Not only will this video let me know who's really freaky or not, Not only will this video let me know who's really freaky or not, but it'll let me know if making this type of video is worth it or not, as I've unironically dedicated the past few weeks to solely making this video. So without further ado, let's finish this with episode 4, A Block and a Hard Place. Because we didn't say Petra, she most likely got stuck inside the Witherstorm's core, and with how sick Gabriel became from simply just floating, the Wither effect most likely gets amplified the deeper and longer you stay inside. Pause. If you remembered how I mentioned that saving someone would put them in plot A and the one you didn't in plot B, well, welcome to plot B. So whenever Petra pops here until the end of the episode, know that Gabriel would have been here in replacement of Petra if you saved her instead. Axel finds Jesse and Petra and regroups with them just as the Witherstorm gets revived, only making it worse because since it blew up into 3 pieces earlier, there is now 3 Witherstorms that everyone has to deal with. As everyone's running away, the Enderman starts to go towards the Witherstorm and Axel falls behind due to carrying Gabriel. But just as things start to get difficult, it gets a little easier as horses appear out of nowhere and they use them to help run away to safety. During this chase, the biggest cameo and foreshadowing event of all time happens.
Axel, stop backseat
Spider
steering.
Jockey! Spider Jockey! Chicken Jockey! Chicken Jockey! Chicken Jockey! Just as everyone was heading to a bridge, it gets destroyed by the Witherstorm and more Endermen appear. But it turned out that they were actually going after the Witherstorm and slowly taking blocks out of the creature. Even with that realization, they're not out yet, so they rebuild the bridge and eventually they end up at a small cavern to recuperate. With everyone safe, the air gets tense as everyone takes their time to engulf everything that's happened. Magnus' death, Gabriel becoming too sick, Petra being alive but not remembering anything, and worst of all, the Witherstorm being alive. But worse than ever with the existence of 3 of them. While trying to help Petra remember, she mentions how she saw other people who were wearing a similar jacket to Lucas when she got free, which caused Lucas to get concerned, thinking about how his friends could be out there and how it is now. Eventually, this leads to a conversation with Lucas saying that he needs to leave in order to find his friends, and you have the option to let him go or for him to stay and fight with us. I chose to let him go because despite the Ocelots being utter asshats, Lucas wasn't, and despite the occasional issues with him, he was overall a good guy, and you really shouldn't force someone to stay if they don't want to. So Lucas gets on a horse and he leaves, and as he does, Petra accidentally kicks Ruben away, making Jesse chase him and have a little heart-to-heart moment that's soon interrupted by another heart-to-heart moment with Soren and Ivor. Ivor reveals that the Witherstorm was specifically designed to track the amulet, and while Ivor believed that Gabriel had it, it was actually Jesse that had it the entire time, which explained why the Witherstorm attacked you if you went to either Boomtown or Redstonia and never the other way around. The three discuss on what to do next, and Soren comes up with an idea to gather hundreds of Endermen to pull off the blocks of the Witherstorm, and Ivor says that he has something that could break the command block inside of it, a special enchantment book. However, the book is at a location far away, but before any more discussions can be made, the Witherstorm has crept much closer, and with no time left, everyone prepares to leave. With Axel choosing to take the amulet so he can be a distraction to the Witherstorm, while Jesse, Ruben, Olivia, Soren, Ivor, and Petra go to the location of the book. And so, the gang of 6 travel far and wide in search of Ivor's place, eventually taking a pit stop at a swamp. Of course, after a long time traveling, some people could get hungry, so Jesse goes to search for some food and finds some potatoes. However, potatoes aren't good enough on their own, so Jesse looks around a little more and comes across a witch's hut that has a cake. But Ivor intervenes and tells Jesse not to go, as witches are very dangerous and you're given the option to either get the cake or leave. I did the most dumbest thing and chose to go for the cake, but when you go inside, you actually have the option to look around, and I looked at the wrong stuff too much because the witch returned before I could even get the cake, so I literally did all of that for nothing. Jesse takes down the witch, but Ivor is nowhere to be seen, so Jesse heads back to the group to explain the situation, but the witch and some other mobs have already attacked the gang, so Jesse helps them all, and they run away. It isn't long before they finally reach the place Ivor was talking about, the Farlands. Now, the Farlands is actually really interesting because when I played it as a kid, I saw that this was like an original concept that Minecraft Story Mode made. But no, in actuality, this was actually a real thing that existed back in the older versions of Minecraft. And there's been like some videos explaining it somewhere online, but essentially it is, essentially a glitch that is made when you go too far. And I'm actually kind of glad I learned it from Minecraft Story Mode and then learned it later when I looked up like normal Minecraft facts. Going inside, the gang gets immediately blocked by a maze, and while traversing through it, more mobs show up, and Jesse is forced to be split from the rest of the group, climbing on top of the maze, and now has to get out from there. Just like the end puzzle, this one took me a while to figure out, but during your search, you encounter some mobs, and while fighting them, your sword finally breaks. What's worse as well is that moments after your sword breaks, you encounter another witch, and you're forced to use whatever weapon you crafted back in episode 1, and in my case, it was the bow and arrow. After what felt like forever, Jesse finally gets out of the maze and comes across a contraption along with a chest and a crafting table. Investigating the contraption, it looks like some form of redstone transportation, and speak of the devil, the engineer of the group arrives along with Ruben. Jesse asks Olivia if she could figure out how this contraption works, but she had some doubts for a moment, not only with her redstone, but also doubting our abilities to defeat the Witherstorm. But after some convincing, she gets an idea to turn on the contraption again by giving us a piston to craft it with a slime ball to make a sticky piston, as well as redstones to craft a redstone block that was found in the chest in order for the build to work. We craft the items, place them where they need to be, and at the same time, Petra and Soren appear with a bunch of other mobs, so Jesse makes them get on first, then starts up the contraption and almost gets left behind, but was able to get on just in time. The contraption leads us to a place that is most definitely Ivor's, with all the books and potions scattered around. Looking around, Jesse comes across a hole with a redstone circuit that could work with a lever. So remember the lever we made back in episode 1? Yeah. Comes full circle, plus best speedrunning strats, plus same materials, equals epic awesomeness. Why did I write this stuff? Like, what the fuck? What's wrong with me? Jesse and Soren enter the chamber first, but Soren accidentally trips over a wire that closes the entrance in front of Olivia and Petra, and it breaks the only way to get in, forcing Jesse and Soren to enter by themselves. Upon descending, the duo comes across a bunch of items, with Soren realizing that they're all from various adventures of the Order of the Stone. The items that appear here are gas tears, prismarine crystals, a sea lantern, a packed ice, and the dragon egg that they got from defeating the Ender Dragon. Every item has a story behind them, and Soren explains them all as Jesse takes each of them, which had pressure plates on them. So taking all of them off reveals a set of hoppers with the numbers 1 through 5 on each of them. Jesse needs to put each item in the order that was obtained, and after doing so, an iron door that leads to the next room finally unlocks to reveal another puzzle room. This motherfucker and his puzzles. However, this puzzle is actually okay, as it is a recreation of the Ender Dragon along with 4 pillars representing each member of the Order. Talking to Soren, Jesse believes that the key to the puzzle is with the Order's battle with the Ender Dragon. Soren gives a story about how the Order of the Stone defeated the Ender Dragon, albeit with a bit of narcissism, with Soren himself shooting the first crystal, launching through the second with Magnus's TNT, using Ellegar's redstone to break the third, pushing the dragon onto the last, and ending off the dragon with Gabriel poking it to death. Using that self-centered story, Jesse solves the puzzle and the room that leads to the enchantment book finally opened.
Wait. Aren't those the Ender crystals? Like, the real ones?
It can't be. Not here.
I mean, you could craft
after all
them,
this time.
so.
Those things were destroyed in your big heroic battle with the Ender Dragon. Right, Soren?
He kept them. The fool actually kept them. He looked me in the eye and swore he was going to dispose of them.
Soren, what is all this? What in the world is going on here?
Yeah, so in reality, the Order of the Stone never really defeated the Ender Dragon. Instead, what actually happened is that Soren used the command block, the same one that Ivor used to make the Wither Storm, to essentially despawn the Ender Dragon. Yes, I am being serious, that is generally what happened. And it is true, with Ivor backing me up, along with Olivia and Petra being there as well to hear the whole story. Both Ivor and Soren get into an argument, with Ivor being mad that Soren lied to the whole world about the Ender Dragon, and Soren revealing that Ivor only kept it a secret in exchange for the treasure that they gathered throughout their journey, yet he still made the Wither Storm in hopes of exposing the Order. Jesse tells him to shut it and focus on the objective, which is destroying the command block. Ivor gives Jesse the enchantment book to do such a thing and takes him to a place where not only can you create a weapon to defeat the Wither Storm, but also have the option to choose a set of armor if you wish to do so. For the weapon to break the command block, I chose a diamond hoe and enchanted it with the book, and for the armor, you actually had the option to keep the armor that you're wearing in respect to your fallen comrade. However, the comrade was Magnus, so I immediately chose to get a new set of armor, and after some time, I chose to go with this one, which Ivor called it the Star Shield. Jesse puts on the new armor along with letting Olivia and Petra get some too, and everyone prepares to head to Soren's place to defeat the Wither Storm once and for all. Once they get there, they notice all 3 Wither Storms have arrived at Soren's place, tearing it apart, yet it looks like the Endermen aren't really tearing the Wither apart. Axel appears and explains that it's because the Endermen aren't angry enough to get up to dismantle it. Jesse then gives Axel a fish bowl for armor, and everyone heads towards the heart of the storm. The moment everyone arrives though, Soren immediately gets cold feet and runs away with Ivor chasing after him to make sure he doesn't die. With only Jesse, Ruben, Olivia, Axel, and Petra left, they try to figure out how to get the Enderman up onto the Wither Storm when they remembered that the beam that makes people float can also work for the Enderman, and that also angers them to start attacking it. So the gang goes to anger as many Endermen as they can so they can walk up to the beam and start destroying the outer core. Jesse runs around the herd of Endermen to have them float up, and after enough of them head up to the Wither Storm, they create an opening for Jesse to get inside. In order to actually get inside, however, the gang needs to build towards it somehow, and with everyone dropping any item that they could use, you get multiple options on how you want to enter the Wither Storm. I chose to build a TNT launcher, but before we can even start, the Wither Storm points a tractor beam at Petra again, and she starts to float, until Axel tries to save her, only for him to start floating too, until Olivia tries to save him, only for her to start floating too, until Jesse tries to save her. It seems like they all get sucked in until Lucas shows up with his friends and distracts the Wither Storm with a bunch of fireworks, giving enough time for Jesse and the gang to build a TNT launcher. Everyone gives Jesse one last good luck, and right as the TNT is about to explode, Ruben jumps onto Jesse's arm and they both get launched into the core of the storm. Once Jesse and Ruben are in, they see that the inside is filled with many people who are still trapped inside, and Ruben runs off by accident right onto the command block.
Now, it's time to destroy you.
Yeah, it's not going to be easy to break such a thing, as the Witherstorm retaliates by attacking Jesse with its tail, but Jesse's able to fend him off enough to hit it a second time. In retaliation, the Witherstorm flips the whole arena upside down, and Jesse tries to get up until one of the Witherstorm heads appears inside to fight back. Jesse and Ruben try to run away from the tractor beam until Jesse realizes that is exactly what they need in order to get up to the command block. Jesse gets sucked by the Wither and breaks its eye to get up to a tentacle, when another one smacks Jesse and the weapon drops. Ruben, being a Chad, was able to grab the weapon and bring it back to Jesse, but right as he does, the Witherhead grabs onto Ruben.
Hold on, buddy! Ruben! No! Ah!
With the Witherstorm defeated, the sky turns blue, and everyone who is affected with the Wither sickness, like Petra, is cured now. Everything seems fine until Lucas hears something, which ends up being Ruben in a critical state. With Jesse saying some last words to Ruben, he dies, and... What the fuck? This game is something else. A week later, a celebration is held for Jesse and everyone that helped defeat the Witherstorm. Gabriel asks Jesse if he should come clean about the Order's fake defeat of the Ender Dragon, and I chose to tell him to tell the audience the truth, and he does just that.
All owe a great debt to Jessie and her friends, but I owe a debt to you people as well, which is why there is something I want to tell you about the Order. The Order of the Stone is not what you all believed. We were frauds. We used the command block to falsify our legacy. We were no heroes. So it is time for the world to celebrate new heroes. Real heroes.
Gabriel gives the spotlight towards Jesse, and I chose to give a shout out to all of Jesse's friends, talked about the Nether, and focus on saving the world. And with that, Ellegaard gives Jesse a special Nether star that was dropped from the Witherstorm, which helped light up some beacons, and Gabriel gives Jesse the amulet along with awarding the gang as the new Order of the Stone.
And so it was that a new Order of the Stone was born. One whose adventures were only just beginning. For though the world had been saved and the command block destroyed, there are many more worlds than just this one.
And that is the end of the Witherstorm arc. Yeah, I really mean arc, because Season 1 of Minecraft Story Mode is split into 2 parts, with Season 2 focusing on its own sole story. Originally, I wanted to talk about the entirety of Minecraft Story Mode, as it's a game I love, plus I did finish the entire game on my Twitch. However, for this video at least, I chose to focus only on the first 4 episodes, as I feel like it's the best representation / comparison to the Minecraft movie. The game focuses on the Witherstorm, and the movie focuses on the piglins. Plus, if I were to review the entirety of both seasons in one video, and if I were to release it on the week of the Minecraft movie, I would literally be dead, so I'm not doing that. Plus, it's not really a fair comparison for one movie versus 2 games. Even with 4 episodes, the game still has a huge advantage. However, if this video does well, I'll highly consider continuing the review of Minecraft Story Mode with the other parts, preferably making it a trilogy. To my friend Ethan, if he's watching this, I'm sorry I wasn't able to do every episode, so if you want, I can let Lil Skittles rap for the next Minecraft Story Mode video. And if everyone else is interested in seeing future videos like this, then feel free to subscribe. Until then, I'll be placing blocks and shit cause I'm in fucking Minecraft. I am placing blocks and shit cause I'm in fucking Minecraft. Oh my god. Is that fucking pig? I don't know the rest of the song, cause it's a parody of another song, I think. Wait, no, it's the original Minecraft song. Wow. Wow, what a stupid head. Anyways, that's the only time I'll ever sing, like ever. So it's the one moment you guys get that actually. So I'm never doing that again.